This is Kingston University in southwest London. It is a post-1992 multi-faculty civic university wedded to the concept of widening participation. As you can no doubt see, Kingston is a very multicultural, ethnically diverse institution. For academic staff, this presents both problems and wonderful opportunities. One of the potential problems is that many of the students are the first in their family to attend a higher education institution. And as such, they may not be familiar with the unwritten rules and traditions of university life that we as academics take for granted. In many cases, English may be their second, third, or even fourth language. Of the undoubted opportunities, however, inherent in this complex learning environment, one is the fascinating range of individuals one gets to meet from a wide variety of different backgrounds. On the whole, I've found the Kingston University students are a wonderfully engaging, lively and endearing bunch of individuals.
Hi, I'm Nick Freestone. I'm an Associate Professor of Physiology and Pharmacology at Kingston University. I'm also course director for a large undergraduate degree called Pharmaceutical Sciences, and I'm the subject area leader for the cognate area of Physiology and Pharmacology within my school. Apart from all that, I'm also the link person between teaching teams at Kingston University and St George's University of London on our pharmacy degree programme. All of these roles have allowed me to develop processes and strategies that I think enhance the student learning experience. So how have I orientated my teaching to suit this challengingly diverse audience we have at Kingston? How do I seek to really engage with my students as individuals and get them to join me in the life-enhancing pursuit of knowledge, both for its own sake and for the practical purposes of employment? I believe I've cultivated a unique teaching style that places each individual student at the heart of my practice. I endeavour to develop personal relationships with every one of my students so that they know I care about their progress and will go the extra mile to help them achieve their goals. For me, education is a social process involving individuals. To be successful, it needs to be collaborative, engaging, and personal. Kingston University's emphasis on widening participation has meant that much time and effort has been targeted at improving the learning opportunities and attainments of students from non-traditional backgrounds. On the other hand, my involvement in the development, initiation and successful implementation of our Master of Pharmacy programme, which is accredited by the General Pharmaceutical Council, also means I teach students with relatively high levels of academic attainment. So, the teaching strategies I've employed to engage each and every one of my students have spanned the ability range presented by that diverse student body. One of these interventions has involved a supportive, iterative feedback process on essay writing drafts by undergraduate students. Whilst this gives me a lot of extra work to do every year, it also indisputably improves student performance as measured by exam marks and improves student progression. This intervention was specifically targeted at students who might be unfamiliar with academic writing and arose from the fact that while students were being assessed in exams by essays, they weren't being given the chance to develop those essay writing skills as part of their course. Upon reflecting upon this, I thought that this was unfair.
We went to sort of like a workshop to start with, didn't we? And we looked at all the different titles and we got to choose what one we preferred to do.
Yeah, and then we had to find the references and see which ones were the most appropriate to write an essay on and whether they were outdated or...
good sources.
Good sources, yeah.
So actually getting feedback on an essay was really helpful because I had no idea what I was meant to be doing basically. And then when it came back and it was okay, I just had to sort of expand on one little bit. Because before I just kind of pour out everything I knew on that topic and it wasn't very well structured or anything, you had to kind of really fish around for marks, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas because we'd done the essay and knew how to structure it, you kind of knew how to set it out and what to start with and sort of how it should all flow. So I think that really helped because we hadn't done many before, like I said. It was all experimental and just writing down equations and facts. To actually have practice writing it was very helpful.
Another intervention I've employed came about due to my participation in an HEA Bioscience event in Leeds a number of years ago. Here I took part in a debate concerning the ethics of targeting resources to the more able students. We all have students who coast through their courses seemingly unaffected by the trials and tribulations visited upon our weaker students. However, if these students pay the same fees as all the other students, it seemed a bit unethical to me that we weren't devoting similar resource to these more able students. I developed then a module incorporating more advanced material, which was only available to those more able students. The intervention proved that concentrating on these more able students, separately, led to them improving their attainment. So they could be stretched by deployment of the appropriate resources to achieve more.
He was my module leader for cardiovascular module last year in third year. He made the module very enjoyable, and I enjoyed it a lot because of the material that we covered. The material was very novel. Nothing was in a textbook, it was all in journals. We knew exactly what was expected of us. We knew when we would be assessed, what we had to be assessed on. The whole structure of the module was very clear. It did set the precedent for the project that I've chosen for fourth year. It set a good foundation in terms of giving me the knowledge to actually carry out a project that not only did I enjoy the topic, but I understood the topic, which I think is essential to do well. If there was anything that we needed or anything we didn't understand, we could always contact him. He was very accessible, and that really helped to allow us to learn to the best of our ability.
It enabled me to get prepared for the exam and know how to answer questions properly, and it allowed me to expand my knowledge on the heart and see what I was doing wrong, and enabled me to improve when it came to the exam time. And because it was a small group, it enabled us to answer, whereas in a lecture when there's 100 students, it's difficult to put your hand up, and sometimes with me I find it difficult to put my hand up and ask questions, but because it was a smaller group, you felt more comfortable and confident asking questions.
Hi, my name is Cynthia Sam, and I am an alumni of Kingston University. I graduated from my PhD with Dr. Nick Freestone recently. He was also my undergraduate lecturer in pharmacology and toxicology. During my PhD, which was in cardiovascular physiology and pharmacology, I got interested in the pedagogical research that Nick was very involved in, and I kind of persuaded him to let me participate in a few interviews as part of his research that he was doing with some of the students around the university. Also helped out in one of the Higher Education Academy workshops that Nick ran at Kingston University last year. It was really a good experience for me to appreciate this firsthand, and also we published a couple of pedagogical papers together. So I found that was a really good balance for me in terms of my PhD and the HEA, the pedagogical research at the same time.
The two interventions I spoke about previously sought to involve students from across the ability spectrum. However, my teaching on a daily basis also seeks this level of personal engagement with each and every one of the learners. The best example I can give of this is my party trick of remembering all my students' names, no matter how large the cohort. This is often to their incredulity and amazement, even in the anonymous confines of a large lecture theatre. This lets the students know there is no escape from the learning.
The feedback from my peers. So basically, we think that Dr. Freestone is a crazy man. Like, he's extremely eccentric, but this allows us to have fun. It's never a dull day with him, definitely. And he's very engaging, that's the main thing. Very engaging. Whenever we need like more understanding on something, he will always bring it in a way that is not just straightforward, but also very creative, and it kind of puts the information in your head that you'd never forget it again.